Test, test, test. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another commercial real estate tactical broker training where we believe most commercial real estate brokers, even residential agents, they struggle with clarifying underwriting, investments, multiple tax deferral strategies, negotiations, and or just role playing and get in a place where they can train and practice before the week gets started. And so every single Monday we are here and we are talking about commercial real estate and some sales strategies, techniques, communication, all of these things. And I'm joined by Pierce York today. Brent Silverbauer is out today. He is traveling. So Pierce York, how are we doing, brother?
We're doing awesome, man.
All right. So do you remember what we talked about last week?
I think you just muted.
Last week we talked about ways ways to communicate, right? Ways to communicate. But I want to retouch what we haven't touched on a couple of weeks, which not only the cold call, purpose of the cold call, but mirroring and labeling, right? So real quick, what's the purpose of the cold call?
To get the meeting.
Yep. To get a meeting, right? A specific time. Now that meeting can be what? It could be, ideally it's always in person, right? But it can also be a specific time that's set to focus on what? The potential of what's going on in the marketplace, right? The potential to potentially lead towards a listing, right? But you're not setting the meeting saying, hey, it's going for the listing. It's just setting the meeting to see if it's even worth having a proposal conversation, right? So it's the purpose of the cold call is to get the meeting. It can be Zoom or in person. Now, on that cold call, you might be using what's called an interest generator. What's an interest generator, Pierce?
Interest generator is something that's going on that's interesting to that particular prospect, whether it's in the market or something with their property or anything that can get them to, I guess, entice them to sit down with you.
That's good. And I would say it's like think like a smart
opener.
Goal. Right? Think like a smart goal, like a smart interest generator would be specific, right? It would be measurable, right? So specific, measurable. It could be like attainable. There's some kind of action that can be taken. Relevant and timely, right? Those are some of the things that you would want to think about, right? Then it's not exactly a SMART goal, but something like that where, hey, I'm calling about your property, your multifamily property in Newport Beach, right? Or LA right now that is priced above a certain amount, above 5 million or 10 million. If it's in LA County, as my understanding, it could be Los Angeles City too. I'm not sure if it's the county or just the city, but essentially they have now a 4% transfer tax on anything 5 million and above. If it goes above 10 million, I think it's 5.5, right? So how would you form that into an interest generator, Pierce, if you're calling me?
Well, I'd definitely learn a lot about that so that I know what I'm talking about, first of all. And second of all would be, if I were calling you and you had that property over, a specific, dollar amount, I would say, hey, Brett, are you aware of this, this
called the mansion tax, by the way. The tax of transfer of 5 million would depend on a few factors, but keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, just whatever, right? But if I would make sure that they fit that criteria first before I called them and told them that their property is, is affected by this. But then I would, just explain, hey, and ask, what is your awareness level with this?
Yeah.
Right. And how does this affect your potential to sell in the future or now, or does this change anything? And then start mirroring and labeling. Just to find out exactly how it affects them.
Yeah. So let's role play real quick. So it's like, hey, Pierce, this is Brett Swarts. Hey, I'm a commercial real estate broker in Los Angeles. And I'm actually just giving you a call on 123 Main Street, the 50 units you own there.
Yep.
And the reason for my call is I'm working with a couple other sellers or potential sellers, and they're looking at the new ordinance, the mansion tax, which basically is a 4% tax on anything above 5 million in value or 5.5% on anything above 10 million, and how this is going to affect their strategy moving forward to sell or to hold or whatever plans they might have. I'm just curious, have you had a chance to review this yet? And have you what are your plans to moving forward with this in mind?
Yeah, so we've been hearing about it, but I haven't delved into it yet. It hasn't, I don't really know too much about it.
Okay, well, it just took effect on April 1st, and that's a great reason for me to follow up with you and or sit down with you. In fact, I'll be in the area, and we can discuss this. I'm showing sellers their value of their property, and what it can do moving forward, if they were to sell, and what strategies they might take into place right now, even to potentially buy other properties as well. Would that be a reason why you might want to sit down with me and meet?
I'd be open to that.
Yeah, great. Well, I'll come by your place, your office, Tuesday or Thursday at this time. So that one is probably a pretty easy one. Now, I may or may not have already talked to you yet, right? If it's the first time I've ever talked to somebody, like a brand new cold call, that's like, and the way when I was talking to, I was thinking this through. Like, if I've never ever talked to you, Pierce, that might not be closing for a meeting immediately on a first one-time cold call. May not be it may not be achievable, right? It's just not very likely.
Sure.
Okay. Now, you might build some rapport there and say, in other words, part of what Chris Voss talks about is when people get in trouble is when they try to squeeze communications all into one setting, right? They try to speed the process. So even as I'm thinking through that, if I have talked to you before, if I've gotten to know you over the years or over a period of time, multiple conversations, emails, develop some know, like, and trust, then that might be the reason to close for the meeting. But even thinking that out right there, that might just be an opportunity to follow up with some good information for them. Hey, look, I got to jump on my next call, and at some point I would love to come meet with you, but I'd like to send you a couple articles on this and a couple of my thoughts. I'd like to email you because you may or may not have their email at this point. Would it be okay if I sent you an email with a follow up on this and to give you some more information and follow up with you next week to see if it's worth our time to meet? All right. So something along those lines on the first one. Does that make some sense there?
Yeah. I mean, it's just building that relationship.
Yeah,
Making
exactly.
sure you don't go for the marriage on the first date.
Yeah, because that felt kind of forced and rushed there. Now you might take that as the first interest generator, and I might have a second one ready to go, right? Say, hey, it's fantastic. Hey, I'm going to send you some information on that here in a minute. But here's the other thought too. You might go to a second interest generator. A property down the street was just listed or just sold, for X price. And part of, I think, why they were able to achieve that price was because the assumability of the loan that they had, that it was still in a fixed lower interest rate.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, when's the last time you've had an assessment on your value of your property and how the interest rate, how your loan would affect the value of your property today? So now I'm getting even more specific. Like I started kind of broad. Now I'm getting a little more specific, right? And now they might say, I haven't had it in a while. And you might label that.
A while?
Yeah. You might mirror that, right? A while. Yeah. Mirror that. And yeah, it's probably been like 3 or 4 years. And
Wow.
you might say 3 or 4 years. Yeah. So yeah, it's been and then even that they might show some emotion like, yeah, it probably seems like good to get an assessment or something. And you might say, sounds like you might want to get an assessment, right? It sounds like an assessment might be helpful for you.
Yeah.
So that's the mirror, that's the label, and that's maybe the second interest generator. The first one you've already set up some value, something specific, something they maybe haven't heard about. Wow, thank you for sharing that. Great, I'll send you some information on. And the other reason for my call is this, right? So you go right into the next one. And if it's there, if you feel it's there, then you might say, look, this is part of what we do. We help people assess whether or not it's a good time to sell and not sell, or just strategize in between how to increase value of their property. It sounds like that might be of interest to you. So you might just label it before you close for a meeting.
Sure. So it sounds like what we're kind of saying is if you got a list of 100 people that you're dialing through in your call, and you've never talked to these people before, it might be a good idea to lead with an interest generator, maybe 2 interest generators, with the goal of, if it's open, taking the meeting, of course, but if don't force it, and basically send them information that may be valuable to them. and
100%.
then follow up with them the next week and say, hey, did you get a chance to review the stuff that I sent you? Do you think this is worth meeting about?
There you go. I think that's right. And then I think also too, if you create some video content around what you're talking about, right? And you have your YouTube channel and you have the podcast and you have like a thoughtful discussion or something where they can consume at their own timing and their own pace, right? Because A, people rarely answer their phones. B, if they do answer the phones, they're probably most likely thinking about how quick I can get off the phone,
Sure.
especially if they never talked to the person before, right? So if you can be concise, timely, specific, and not move too fast for someone to meet, right? And have a good follow-up, some good content. I think that would be valuable for somebody who's taking a call for the first time. Now, if you've established some rapport, some know, like, and trust, and you're calling that same person three, 4, 5, 6 a year later, right? And now you're saying, hey, this is timely, this is specific, and it seems like this would be something to be very valuable for you, considering that if you might want to refinance or sell the property, then you can move towards more of the meeting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And where are you finding these interest generators?
So just reading and absorbing it, right? So that one was probably 3 weeks ago. I've heard of it, and then it got passed, and then it officially went into it's all over the news as of April 1st. So it's just literally day-to-day conversations with people, and then reading. You go to CoStar, you can look up commercial real estate news on CoStar. They have a page there, or trending topics for commercial real estate. If it's in the luxury space, just anything you can consume that has to do with people and social media that are putting relevant content out.
Yeah. Okay.
And then tax, of course, is huge, right? Because we do capital gains tax solutions. So now I'm trying to find something that's relevant to my expertise, because I want to be the link. That's right. That's what we talked about last week. Being the link towards the solution for the client, right? Like,
right.
Why? Okay, that's great. You have the good information, Pierce or Brett, but now you want to link how you are the person. So you want to discover the need, you want to clarify the need and the ideal outcome, and you want to future pace. What does it look like for a positive outcome for them, the ideal outcome? And then you want to link yourself to the ideal outcome and solution. Now you got to be careful not to do this on the phone call, right? But you might be thinking about that. Like, does this person have a need, right? And if they have a need, great. Have you discovered that need? Yeah, I haven't done an analysis in a couple of years. Okay, sounds like that's a need for you. It's an important thing for you to do. And maybe on a scale, understand how important is it? Yeah, I think it'd be pretty important. Great. What would be the ideal outcome if you were to have that analysis? What would that help you to do? Right? You don't assume that you know what it is. You clarify the need and the ideal outcome if they had the analysis. Future pace. What would you ultimately want with your overall plan? Right. Yeah. And then you say, look, I think I can really help you out based upon what you've told me your need is, what you want your thing to do. But it's going to take a little bit of us spending some time together. If I could come by your office for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and help you achieve clarity on what options are available for you, would that be of value to you? Yeah, it would be. Excellent. Great. Let me come by. So I think you can mix these things in. Just always know that the outcome is not, if you feel like the conversation is just dragging on, I think that's really where this coaching comes in. If you feel like the customer or the client or the person is just, dragging on the conversation, and it's moving to it's kind of like when we do podcasting, Pierce, where you feel like it's just going on for too long. Like, then you're probably moving into the friend zone and not into the the business transaction zone, right? That making sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so now you're on the meeting. If you get the meeting, now you're going to reinforce build some rapport to start. Then you're going to reinforce the reason for meeting, right? The need or their challenge, and you're going to re-clarify what they want the outcome to be. If you haven't done that yet, you might just be clarifying for the first time. What would be the positive things if they got what they wanted? What would be some of the negative things if they got what they wanted? And what's the ideal outcome moving forward in the time frame? And then you want to mirror and label their answers, right? Gather all of that. And then say, we have my team and I, we have a unique skill set for helping people to sell and to exit in a way that helps them achieve the freedoms they desire. Some of the challenges or some of the freedoms you talked about, you want these challenges solved, these freedoms achieved. If I could show you in a proposal how we could do that by potentially selling your asset in a couple of weeks, would that be of value to you? Yes. Great. That would be of value to me. On a scale of 1 to 10, how significant would that be for you and what you're trying to achieve? 7, 8, 9, or 10? Excellent. And then you move into assuming we can agree on price and terms. When I come back to your satisfaction, I solve 1, 2, 3 challenges and give you the 1, 2, 3 freedoms or outcomes that you want. Is there any reason why you wouldn't exclusively list the property with me and allow you to help you to achieve that goal and that outcome? So I have discovered the need. I'm clarifying the need and the ideal outcome. And I'm asking to see what it's going to sound like, seem like, feel like. What are they going to see? Helping them to envision what that's going to be. Then link yourself to helping them achieve that ideal outcome. And then saying, hey, if I could help you achieve that, would that be significant to you? Or if I could at least show you how my proposal can help you achieve that, would a proposal be helpful for you to make a decision? You want to try it?
Sounds like you're trying to be the bridge between, where they are and where they want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can bridge it, that's the value. And if you provide that value, you're going to get a lot more success.
Exactly. And so the bridge is number 4 though, right? So first discover the need, clarify the need, ideal outcome, future pace, and then link yourself because you understand and you'll be able to say it back to them because you've mirrored and labeled in between all of these things.
Right.
And you're taking good notes and they're talking how much percent of the time you think?
80,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
You're 20, they're 80, especially in the beginning, especially as you're going through, because you ultimately want to make sure that you're spending your time and energy on someone who actually has a need and you're that right fit for them, right? But if they don't have a need, they don't have a clear vision on where they're going, and ultimately there's no point in linking yourself to that because you're kind of chasing a potential thing, right? And they don't even know what it is. That's got to be a deep motivation and need and want or desire.
How much of your job do you think is clarifying that vision or where they want to go? And how much do you think it's chasing?
Well, hopefully it's attracting is a good word, right? So the more content I create, I think the more deals we close, the more deal stories we share with that content, the more I think people can connect with what we're doing, right? Capital gains tax solutions as a broker, they get to see those things. So I think it's more like introducing and attracting is the biggest thing, right? And I don't like the word chase, although I do like the word encourage or challenge because sometimes people don't know what's even possible, right? So I would say encourage, challenge false beliefs of what's actually possible. And then asking people like, is this what you really want? Like if you could have tax deferral, no more 1031, no more toilet stress liability, diversification, increased cash flow, eliminate estate tax, pay off debt, partnership freedom, location freedom, time freedom. But now they need to say that. That's the part I have to slow down, Pierce, because if I just come out and say, oh, I already know what you want, like it's this, because look at all these other people, they already got what they want. No. It's slowing down and saying and helping them discover the need or helping, not even help them discover, but have them say it, because there's a saying that goes, whoever says it owns it, right? So if they say it, they own it. If I say it, I own it. And I think another way to think about it is the more I say it, the more I'm selling. The more they say it, the more I'm attracting.
That's good.
Right? So instead of me telling and saying and, I guess pitching, right? That's what I'm selling. Instead, it should be them saying it and me helping them to discover it, even if I have the answer. I want them to slowly, methodically discover it, depending on their personality type, their temperament. Not everyone's wired like me or you, Pierce, right? It's right. Everyone's a little bit different. And then you're dealing with people's, millions and millions and millions of dollars of net worth, a blood, sweat, and tears to get there, of all the competing ideas. So the more you can come alongside of them and help them discover versus being on the other side and be telling them, I think the more they're going to own it, right? And they're going to take responsibility, and you're going to be the guide to help them.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'll send you these questions here. I think you're going to like this a lot. What questions or thoughts do you have?
No, I think that was really good. I mean, the more you're saying, the more you're selling. The more they're saying, the more you're attracting. I really like that. I think that's a big takeaway from today.
Good. And then I think next week we will cover emailing this to you now so you have it. We'll cover I don't know. What do you want to cover?
Pricing.
Okay. How so? Like when you say pricing, like what do you mean?
Pricing, like actually doing like an underwriting an actual deal.
Okay.
And pricing it out and coming to them with the actual like realistic valuation as opposed to the seller mindset, which is sky high.
So the ideal outcome for you next week on the training would be how to properly price, but maybe more so how to communicate that it's the proper price and not make sure you're setting real expectations with the seller.
Yeah, and I think understanding what the actual value of the property is.
Okay. Just yourself, just understanding what is real value of property.
Just based upon the different, cost approaches or, whatever, and income approaches or market approach.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, there's a deal right now that's super annoying because it is a 52,000 square foot building. The owner wanted, 9 to 10 million for it, and a property just sold literally right around the corner, about the same size, for like 4. So it's like, dang. So now that comp came in, right, crushed the valuation. How do you handle that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, why don't we cover that next week? I think I have some ideas, and I can gather some ideas to prepare. And by the way, if people want to learn more about us, you can go to expmastery.com. expmastery.com. We're growing a team across the country with multifamily brokers, commercial brokers, luxury agents, residential agents, and we would love the opportunity to interview with you, right, for potentially joining our team and to see what that would look like. We've got team members across the country, and we offer some amazing stuff, including these types of trainings every week. Go to expmastery.com. It's expmastery.com. Also go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com as well. We've got ways to defer capital gains tax not using a 1031 exchange, including a new book that just got released. Well, it's going to be released on the 20th, April the 20th. It's April the 10th today, called Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. Check that out. April the 20th. It is dropping on Amazon. Pierce York, if people want to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
You can find me at kingdomluxuryrealty.com or living in Newport Beach, California on YouTube.
All right, buddy. Talk to you next